everybody, and welcome to Recovering Strong Black Woman. My name is Iman Berry, and here at Recovering Strong Black Woman, we talk about everything from law of attraction to manifestation to ultimately living life on your own damn terms. On today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about spiritual awakenings and a very specific element. So I see a lot of conversations around spiritual awakenings online, and number one, I love to see it, right? I think it's very important to us in our consciousness and our growth and our healing to see more of it. And a lot of times what I see is, oh, you're going to feel frazzled. Let me tell you, frazzled ain't the word. Your edge is going to be plucked straight from your head, from your scalp. Okay, you're going to be bald as a little Siamese cat, and all your hair will be down on the floor. And that's what a spiritual awakening is. Anything that you came to the table with thinking that's who you were, you about to learn the truth. All right, you about to learn fact and fiction. It's about to be something very unique. And one element though that I don't hear talked about a lot is about solitude during your spiritual awakening. And I want to talk to you a little bit about my experience. So I've had, I feel like, 3 distinctive spiritual awakenings within my life. And I say distinctive because hit me like a damn ton of bricks. I felt it. I remember leveling up from it. I remember shedding my old identity. It was very clear moments in my life where the old me would not suffice in this new version and this new experience, this new evolution. And the one that recently happened to me was something totally different. It was a great shift. And great not to be confused with easy. Okay, this spiritual awakening whooped my ass, baby. She had me on the floor, one hand, foot on the neck. Okay, she had me going down. This spiritual awakening was really something else. And one element of it that I think is so important that women know, especially, is that your spiritual awakening, there's no aspect of it that you can escape. Now, people a lot of times can suppress it, and you kind of see it manifest in their life. You see them, seeking out harming behaviors or low vibrational ways of living, right? So it becomes evident. But those who are seeking to go through it, there's no cliff notes. You got to go through it. You got to hunker down and go through the trenches. That's what the experience is. And largely what I felt during my spiritual awakening is the need to really understand that and who I am and who I have the capability to be. And largely that was a very lonely process. Not to be confused with alone, but very lonely process. No one can save you through the work, the difficulties, the dark nights, the challenging moments, the check to the ego. I mean, that ego was, man, slapped right and left, okay? That ego was, she got her ass whooped. She did. My ego got her ass whooped. And those are all things you have to kind of prepare for. And I think a lot of times there's this misconception that you can yoga your way out of that, right? I'm a downward dog my way out of this part of the spiritual awakening. That's not how it works. At least I will tell you from my perspective, that is not how I've seen it show up in my life or friends that I know in their lives. What you really have to do, in my experience with it, is when you kind of are pushed into an opportunity to grow and you say, okay, this hurts, right? So first you start to feel like the hurt, you start to feel the challenge. And then at some point, something kind of clicks, at least my experience, something clicks and says, this shit doesn't serve me and I don't ever want to be in this position again. This is not why I was birthed to be here. This is not the quality of my experience that I could really do and experience so much more. And I had a very clear intention. I said, never again. Never again. I said the things, the patterns that were showing up in my life, that were showing up in my relationships, that were showing up in my experiences, and so many dynamics, right? It just wasn't one. If you look, it was pattern on pattern in all these. It's like a web of patterns. And I said, enough. I refused. I remember telling 2 of my best friends, I said, I'm not doing this shit no more. I said, I'm sitting my ass down. I'm going to focus all my energy and effort on healing, because being broken and walking through this life ain't it. And if I don't fix this now, imagine the shit that I will pass down. And that's not fair to me. That's not fair to my future descendants. that's just not fair to the experience, because there's a choice. And this was, mind you, in the height of the pandemic. I moved halfway across the United States. I just broke up with my boyfriend. I'm out here alone, didn't know anyone, going through a spiritual awakening, getting to know myself, and basically I could have been on a desert island. That's really what it felt like. And I had the aid of a therapist. And whew, Lord, thank you for her. I mean, I'm super grateful for my therapist. But even the most phenomenal therapist cannot help you if you are unwilling to help yourself. And what I mean by that is saying, she gave me a lot of insight, but if I didn't take that insight and take it home and do something with it and apply it, even when it hurt, even when no one's watching, then it really meant nothing. She can be phenomenal, right? You know, anybody can be Beyonce in the shower, but if you come out and you can't perform when it's stage time, then are you really? Right? So you really have to like show it for yourself. And the hard part of spiritual awakenings are really, a lot of that happens alone. It happens when no one is watching. It happens when no one is seeing the progress. It happens when you elect to put up a boundary that is significant for you, that you've never established, and it's the first time and no one sees it, right? And it is these small incremental changes, right? It is a matter of, I will not skip lunch because I've got to take care of myself, and no one can be around you for that, right? Like those part of like the solitude, right? It is facing your part in your patterns and your behaviors, right? You can have conversations with other people, but you've got to heal your way out of that. And that's a lonely experience. And what I thought in some of my earlier experiences that I thought I had grown, but seeing my growth now, it's completely different. And I'll tell you the biggest difference in my growth in this current spiritual awakening compared to that of the past is that I was alone and I had nothing to reach out for. That I was tired of my own shit. I was tired of my experiences that I was living, and I said, I want something better, and I deserve better, and I can have better, and I'm going to make that happen. And that's exactly what I did. Before, I was able to heal to a certain point and then continue life as normal. And this, I was very clear that there's no faking it, right? I've got to just really resolve these issues now. And with COVID and the pandemic, we were all shut down. You know, a lot of people took those lessons and learned them from a moment and kept on ticking as soon as, you know, outside opened back up, right? That was how some of my past spiritual awakenings were, right? It was a semi-awakening, and you kind of learn a little bit, but oh, you know what? COVID's disappeared, and all of a sudden we're going back outside, and it's clubbing as normal, or it's brunching as normal. And this one was different. It was so damn different. It was really, for me, being like on a desert isle. And the thing I want you to know is, for anyone who's going through something similar, one, I will tell you, it does not last. It's challenging, but I got to learn and be there for myself in those moments of solitude in ways that I would have shown up for friends, but I've never shown up for myself. Completely different, right? I feel like when my friends ever needed me, or if they're going through a moment, I'm like, hey girl, what you need? Okay, listen, let's do this, let's do that, make sure everybody's taken care of. But to be in a place of solitude with your spiritual awakening, you then have to learn to do that for yourself. And I'll tell you, black ladies, as women of color, that is something we have not been taught to do. We have not been taught to nurture ourselves. We've been taught to survive. We've been taught to achieve. We've been taught in a lot of cases to overachieve, but we've never been taught to be quiet enough to figure out what our actual own needs are first before doing anything else. And to be there and to be present with myself was something else. Child, I hope I don't get to tearing, get to crying, but it really was something else to experience. And like I said, with that spiritual awakening, it really was an opportunity for me just to sit down and to confront my own BS. And for those of you who are experiencing that, like I said, I want you to know that does not last. And those of you who might be avoiding certain aspects of your spiritual awakening or your growth or your healing journey, this is also what I will tell you. Fix it now so you ain't got to fix it later. That's it. Fix it now so you don't have to fix it later. It is your choice. Do you really want to continue on with some of these cycles? Right? It's crazy. I learned so many things in my spiritual awakening. I was talking to my brother and my cousin not too long ago, and we were talking about relationships, and I was like, damn, we got some generational stuff, really. Like, there were some generational patterns, but because I had healed in a place that I had to be forced to identify my mistakes, what I allowed other people to do or treat me, how I allowed myself to be experienced in any relationship, because I was in that solitude of awareness, and that I wasn't seeking out distraction, and I was just going to dig until I really understood the root cause. I now can operate with a level of awareness within my loved ones, so that we all, the collective, it don't have to be just one person in a family breaking generational curses. All right. Once again, we don't, like Black women, we ain't got to shoulder it all. Right? Take your lessons and give those nuggets to your loved ones and say, listen, I learned this in my healing journey, and I want to make you aware as well, because I think this is a generational thing we've got to fix, because this ain't gonna work. I don't want your nieces, nephews, second cousins, whatever, to go on with these narratives, because we don't have to. But that only was gained by staying in a place of solitude. I was like in the jungle, and you had to figure your stuff out. And ladies, once again, I just really want to encourage you, if you are in those moments where you're feeling overwhelmed, confused, you don't know what the next day is going to look like, if it feels heavy, if everything feels like you don't know, you can't recognize it, that's a part of it, and that's okay. But on the other side, baby, let me tell you, the other side of your spiritual awakening is so beautiful. It is like you see completely different. You experience completely different. You show up for yourself completely different. You're able to love and then love people differently. And it is the most beautiful experience that I have had until this point in my life. Out of everything that I've had, this is the most rewarding thing that I've been able to experience. And I want more people to be able to experience that. And to do that, we have to be okay with saying, I'm prepared to confront this stuff. I'm prepared to work on my stuff. I'm prepared to not share every last detail of the journey, because like I said, some of it is going to be very personal. Some of it is just going to be you and your shadow boxing it out over stuff you can't even articulate, and that is okay, right? Once you just have that awareness, you understand that you can go and you can operate in life completely differently. I know this was a different type of story time, but I just really feel this deep understanding that a lot of women are shifting to the place of just being non-negotiable about their healing. And I think it's important that we talk about some of those aspects, because I don't want you to be blindsided or surprised, but I do want you to be aware that a lot of aspects of your healing journey, even though you might be guided by a lot of teachers, you're going to have to teach yourself. And it starts by being present enough with yourself to go through some of that alone, not to be confused with lonely. Because I had support, right? I had friends. If I had very low days, I'm reaching out, I'm being honest, I'm being vulnerable. But ultimately, I had to fight my own bullshit. I had to approach my BS. I had to navigate through it. I had to heal through it. I had to address it. And those were things that I had to do by myself in my apartment when no one was watching, when my therapist was asleep, when my friends were, doing something else. Those are things that you're going to have to confront. And those are part of the spiritual awakening journey that a lot of times people just don't talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed the story. I definitely want to talk more about my spiritual awakening experience, because like I said, it's been such a remarkable time for me, and who I am today is damn sure nowhere near who I was a year plus ago. And I love it. I love this version of me, and I can only imagine who I could have been with this level of awareness even a year or two before, or at 16 or at 15, because it's so beautiful. And I think we've got to pass down these lessons and these teachings to more women, especially women of color, so that they know they don't have to go through life operating in these survival modes, that there's another opportunity, there's another way, that healing is available for them, whatever that healing looks like for them based on whatever they are challenged with, and that whatever you've been through is not also who you are. You've got so much more going for you. And yeah, just want to share that. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to Recovering Strong Black Woman and listening to my story. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.